How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another video. We have this one's actually weird, right? There's the whole notion that Xbox is going third party, and obviously a lot of us don't want it, but when Microsoft is doing these sorts of actions where they're putting critically acclaimed games onto competitive platforms like the PlayStation 5 or the Nintendo Switch, it does raise an eyebrow. Now, if we look at what IdleSoft is posting here, apparently, according to what NateThehate has heard, a critically acclaimed Xbox first-party title will come to a competitive platform. Now, the title that they've heard of has been in a Game of the Year conversation. Now, from everything I've heard, this game is supposed to be Hi-Fi Rush. Obviously, that is just rumor. It could be something completely different. It's just the rumors I've heard. But I just wanted to go through this and just react to it and just give my thoughts on it, because this is giving out such a mixed message to Xbox fans. And I think, if, whatever it is that Microsoft wants to do, they just need to get their big boy pants on and just come out and say, you know what, this is what we're going to do. This is what we want to do. Deal with it. You either like it or you don't. I get it. They're afraid of losing fans. They're losing subscribers. But this uncertainty that, every time Microsoft seems to be propelling itself into a good point, they come out with something like this, let it leak, and it just sends them right down to the shitter again. And it's starting to become a pattern with Microsoft. Whenever something good is happening, whenever they're in a good field vibe, just something really big has to happen to basically take them and put them right back down. And I don't get it. It's almost like they deliberately do it to make themselves put themselves in a position where people just want to ignore them. I genuinely don't understand. But anyway, let's listen to this.
Yes, and the title I am referring to was met with high critical acclaim. Fans loved it. It was in the Game of the Year conversation the year it released.
Was it Redfall?
I can't confirm or deny it being Redfall.
It's not going to be.
It's not Redfall.
Going to be Redfall.
No, it's not Redfall. But when the announcement comes,
I mean, at least we know it's not Redfall.
I think it's going to be met with a lot of excitement.
And by a lot of excitement, he means for either PlayStation 5 gamers or to the Nintendo Switch gamers. Now, if Hi-Fi Rush, if it is Hi-Fi Rush, goes to both platforms, I think that's a massive blow for Microsoft. Well, for Xbox anyway. But anyway, let's hear them continue.
Because this is a quality game. And as you were saying, I think this is a smart move for Microsoft. And I could see why a lot of Xbox fans, especially the hardcore loyalists, may be just hell-bent against it. But view it from Microsoft's perspective, from a business perspective. If you're bringing select games to multi-platform, so outside of PC to Switch and PlayStation, your competitors' consoles, you're doing so because you see the quality of the IP and the franchise. You want to expand its reach beyond that of just the Xbox itself. So now you bring, let's say, Pentiment, just as an example of a game, to Switch and PlayStation. Well, it's very well received. It sells well on those consoles. And this is a game that at this point, it's not going to sell any Xbox systems. It's not going to drive Game Pass subscriptions. It's done all it's going to do.
So my question here is, why doesn't this apply to PlayStation? Why don't these people ever talk about this when it comes to PlayStation or the Nintendo? Mario Sunshine isn't going to sell Nintendo Switches, is it? Why not put that on the Xbox? The original God of War isn't going to sell Xboxes. The Returnal now isn't going to sell PlayStation 5s, is it? Why don't those games come to Xbox? Why is it that everyone always has to find an Xbox platform or an Xbox game in order to go to another platform? Because it's not going to sell Game Pass anymore, so just let it go. I don't get it. Why is the narrative never on the other side? Why is the narrative always on Xbox? Like, why? Why? You know, I don't get it. What is it with the media? I don't even care how true this is. I just want to know why. Why is it always Xbox giving and giving and giving and never getting fuck all in return?
You bring it to these other platforms. Now these gamers on the PlayStation or the Switch play it. They're like, yo, this game is awesome.
Said no one ever.
A sequel in 3 years. But this time, the sequel is exclusive to the Xbox brand.
Right.
The only way I can play it now is I have to buy an Xbox or I have to buy it on PC, which Microsoft is okay with. Well, I lured you in, I baited you, and now I hooked you.
Mm-hmm.
No, you didn't. Because guess what? In 3-4 years' time, it's going to be available on PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 6 and Nintendo Switch 2. Because if you've set a precedent, there's no reason for me to jump onto your platform. I've got plenty of games on Nintendo to play. I've got plenty of games on PlayStation to play. Why should I rush out to play your game? I can just wait. I mean, just look at the PC crowd. They won't even touch Alan Wake. They're waiting for it to come to Steam before they even play it. And there's multiple instances where this is the case, where they just won't play it until it comes over to Steam. Do you genuinely think that someone who's embedded into PlayStation for, Hi-Fi Rush 2, I'm going to use that as an example because that's the game I think this is talking about. But do you think that they're going to go and pay £500 for a console just to play Hi-Fi Rush 2? Really? Is this what you're thinking?
And by going with a multi-platform release with select games and then bringing a sequel out years later and making that exclusive, it allows Microsoft to expand their ecosystem, but then also draw you in when the time is right.
Yeah.
So when you look at the current generation, Microsoft still has a lot of quality games coming out. And when you evaluate it on a game-by-game basis and say, which one can we use to strengthen our brand a little more for the future? Well, let's bring that game to a multi-platform. Let's see the interest it gains on a Nintendo or a Sony device. Okay, it was well received. The sequel, exclusive.
See, I don't think that's how this is going to work. Because if I was on the Nintendo platform or the PlayStation platform and I was a consumer there, I'd just be going, yeah, I'll just wait 2-3 years and have the sequel come to me as well. There's no guarantee that it's not going to come at this point. In fact, the notion of any exclusive game not ever coming to Nintendo or Sony will go straight out the window. Only those that are technologically impossible to go to the Switch will not go to the Switch. But the PlayStation 5, that's open season, right? At that point, any game that Microsoft has got, even Hellblade 2, is in the run for the money, right? Because once you've opened that floodgate, you've opened it. The media is going to run with this forever. The articles for is Starfield going to be on the PS5, Elder Scrolls 6 coming to PS5, PS6, all of these conversations come back out again. You don't ever see the conversation with PlayStation because they make it perfectly clear. If our game is exclusive, it's goddamn exclusive. You ain't touching it. You want to play it, you buy a PS5. So why doesn't Microsoft do the same? If you want to play it, buy a PC or an Xbox. Done. Finished. Compete. End of story. This whole, he's going to throw the bait, hook them in, reel them in, that's dreamland. This is all, this is like the best case scenario. That's never going to happen. The average gamer is just going to turn around and go, mate, do you see my backlog over there? I can wait 2-3 years and just play it when it comes to PS5. Because now that you've got the first one on my PS5 or my Nintendo Switch, I know that the second one's coming too, because you're going to like that money that you're getting, right? That revenue stream that's coming in, that's that good revenue stream. You like it, right? So you're definitely going to check it out.
Let's bring that base to us now. It can work well. It's a gamble. And it's kind
a
of
dumb
hard
gamble
to wrap your mind around if you're a consumer saying, well, if they don't have an interest in it at the onset, when it's exclusively on the Xbox, why would they have interest in it when it comes to their brand? We all know the tribalism of gaming.
Mm-hmm.
Once the other systems have a game that used to be yours, they will try it if the game is good. But now you have interest in that franchise, and if you're not getting the sequel and you have to go to the Xbox system to play the sequel, you're going to consider it, because at the end of the day, especially at this point of the generation, people have kind of made their home on their system of choice, be it Xbox, PlayStation, or Switch. It's going to be very hard to persuade some of these individuals to buy another $500 system. Not everyone is a multi-console home. But if you lay the groundwork for the future today, there's no telling what tomorrow will bring.
Exactly. It could be a complete waste of time. It could open a bunch of narratives that Xbox is going third party. It can lose complete faith from those that are in the Xbox ecosystem. This could have a really negative effect. On the other hand, this could be extremely positive. If, say, it's Hi-Fi Rush, it's going to the Nintendo Switch, this could be like a good gesture to Nintendo to say, hey, look, we're willing to share some of our property with you that we know that would appeal to your community. Maybe you'll do the same in turn for us. And then you might actually see the back and forth of good quality games between Nintendo. That is always a possibility, and it is something that I genuinely do think could happen. But is that gamble worth it? Because if it backfires, the Xbox community, the ones that are still here, the ones that have stuck by them through thick and thin, I think they are going to be not very happy. Very, very unhappy.
So when Microsoft does announce this title, and it's not like As Dusk Falls, we already know that's going multi-platform. And, Microsoft could be partnering with an external publisher to bring the title I'm referring to a multi-platform release. We've seen them do this in the past with Ori Will of the Wisp. Yep. They had, I believe it was I Am 8-Bit, do the publishing of that game. And I believe with As Dusk Falls, it is PQ doing the publishing of that release for multi-platform. So maybe Microsoft reaches out to has a external publisher do the title I am referring to. Maybe Microsoft self-publishes it. But yes, Microsoft will be dabbling in bringing a first-party game to competitor platform in 2024. At least one game. I know of one. I don't know if there'll be additional.
See, I think this is a really, really bad move. The gamble to me just isn't worth it. It could really, really pay off. And if it is going to Nintendo, and if it is Hi-Fi Rush that is going to Nintendo, that could, it's quite possible that just like Ubisoft has Mario and Rabbids, we could get a very similar game on the Xbox from a Nintendo franchise that could come along. That would be the best case scenario, right? But if the games are going to go multi-platform to Nintendo and PlayStation, all that's sending out the message is just hold out, because these games will eventually come to your platform, even if they are 2-3 years late. But, why isn't this conversation happening with Final Fantasy VII Remake or Final Fantasy 16 or any other third-party game like Silent Hill 2? Why isn't any of these conversations happening with Returnal or any of the, older games like Ratchet and Clank coming to, Rift Apart, coming to Xbox to try and bait and hook them in? Because Rift Apart isn't exactly going to sell any more subscriptions or consoles now, is it? No. It's already free on the PlayStation Plus. It's not selling any more copies of the game, that's for sure. So why isn't this conversation happening in the reverse? It's very interesting that this conversation only ever happens to Xbox. And it's really frustrating that it only happens to Microsoft. And honestly, it's clear where there's smoke, there's fire. So this conversation is happening inside Microsoft HQ. I believe it genuinely is. But I do also think that Phil needs to come out, have a round table, whatever the hell you want to call it, and just make your feelings for this clear. You need to make your views on this clear. I think it's really just, we're at a point now where Phil needs to come out and just say, look, this is where we're at, and this is what we are looking at doing. And that's it. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion, and I will see you in the next one. Remain legend.